Take two. If you look into many religions, and I'm going to be very quick on this one, it's just straight to the point. So please bear with me because this one's short and sweet. In many religions, you hear about them talking about what will happen thousands and thousands of years in the future. And if you're wondering, well, that can't be my religion. Okay, let's talk about the Old Testament. The rapture. When they wrote about the rapture, when was Jesus and the Antichrist supposed to collide on Earth where, beat these lobster people from the sky with wings and a scorpion tail are taking people and all that? 2,000 years. That's supposed to be 2,000 years. You got a lot of these prophets in Judaism, you got Christianity, you got the Catholics, you got so many of these religions, and I'm not even starting there. There's other religions as well. On take one, I go over a different one as well, but I'm not able to say it right. It's not. I'm having trouble with my nervous system, but um, ah, oh, if you could see my face right now, you would see I'm trying to spit out something. Anyways, so they all talk about thousands of years in the future, what's going to happen, and they also have a set of rules. Like, let's say defacing yourself. That's cutting your hair, getting a tattoo, cutting off your own finger. That is like cutting your arm to save your toes from being amputated, even though amputation, if you're talking about like a lot of Muslim religions or some of the Rastafarian religions or even some of the weirder Christians or Jesus believing religions, believe that you're not allowed to deface your body with medical care, like cutting cancer, like cutting a toe off. Like Bob Marley had cancer in his toe that spread up his leg. Now, he could have got his toe removed and he could have had a long life, but he would have to have his toe removed. So that means he has to go against his religious beliefs. That he will burn for eternity. He will be a bad person for defacing his body. But what if we have that wrong? What if all these people, all these prophets, they were looking into the future about things like CRISPR? Think about it for a second. We are altering genes. We are taking God's work and we're fundamentally, literally altering. When you get a tattoo, you're just painting yourself. When you lose a toe, you're losing a lot of cells. But what are you doing to your child in their womb when you alter their genes by adding genes with CRISPR? We're not talking about repairing any disabilities, even though that would be altering God's work at the fundamental level. But let's talk about altering genes and adding genes to a baby to make them more white and strong and tall and smarter. When your child was born just fine the way he was, there was nothing wrong with your child. They said your child will be fine, a healthy child. But you altered his genes early, and they can do this with the technology we have today. They have already done it with several people that had bad diseases and disorders, but they're thinking about using CRISPR to add genes and charging parents who might want their kid to be tall and strong or smart. Well, what if that's exactly what all these religions and all these prophets were seeing, this vision, this message? Or maybe aliens are coming down, or maybe it's God, or maybe it's Jesus or Jesus Christ that gave this message, or it's the prophets that were having visions of these people, or maybe people were having visions of Jesus. Maybe that's why this is in the Bible. Maybe they knew one day we would really try to alter the fundamental God's creation, the building blocks that God gave us that makes us us. I mean, when you get a tattoo, you're painting yourself, and those are dead cells. That is not you. What makes you you is your soul and your DNA, and what the differences in you than somebody else come from your genes and your DNA. If you're gonna make your child in your womb have different DNA and alter it because you think you know better than God, it's going to backfire. I just know if rich ass $1 million parents are allowed to buy smarts and strength and stuff like that, God's going to punish them. They're going to go sterile, most likely. That's going to be the most likely the punishment that God uses for this new CRISPR, new Gen X selling, adding genes or removing genes and altering the fundamental building blocks that God gave us. I mean, a tattoo is crossing the line for some religions. Cutting your hair is crossing the line, but adding DNA to your child for money, changing your DNA, that's even worse than chopping off a toe to save the body. I mean, that is pretty. I mean, you don't even know how your kid will turn out. So, I mean, if they come out with this, there's lots of rich parents that are going to try to make their kids be like politicians with lots of brains. But I have a feeling this is going to backfire in a lot of ways because we were warned. And when they say, do not mess with God's work in many, many different ways in many, many different religions, maybe they weren't talking about painting yourself with a tattoo. Maybe they weren't talking about getting your toe removed to save the body. Maybe they weren't talking about slicing the skin to save all your toes. Maybe they were talking about changing the DNA at a fundamental level. Maybe doing that on purpose to your children or to yourself is the warning that we were supposed to get ahead of time.